Hey guys, how you doing? This is Bassman61 here, and just want to do a little video about some lures and things that I use for bass fishing. I'm originally from New Jersey and moved down to Florida here about almost 2 years ago, and big difference. Let me just give you an idea of what I mean. When I was back in New Jersey, you had to fish, you had to wait for the seasons, the summer, the fall, the spring were pretty good, but then came old man winter and you packed up your stuff, put it away in the closet and stared out the window and just prayed that the summer would get here fast so you can get back out and do some good fishing. Now back north, I used to lug this thing around with me, this old tackle box here, a lot of stuff in it. Got a lot of these type of boxes, a lot of different lures in there. Because back north, with the change of the seasons and everything, you go out on these lakes and reservoirs that I used to fish, with the water temperature changing and fish getting finicky, I'd be into that tackle box there and I'd be trying every lure I can find in there to catch a fish. Well, then I came down to Florida. And what a difference. I want to show you my tackle box that I use down in Florida. This is my tackle box. Actually, what it is, it's one of those carrying things that you take toiletries in when you go on a vacation. This is now my tackle box. Why is it so small? Because I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, let me show you what I keep in this tackle box. First off, I got a little scissor. I use this to cut my line when I have to change lures. Then you got the trusty needle nose pliers. You always need one of these in case the old bucket mouth swallows the hook on you. Then you need hooks. I use owner hooks. Now I don't get paid for saying this, but these are the best hooks I've ever used. I don't use anything but owner hooks. These hooks stay sharp. I can be out a whole day with one hook on the line and never have to change the hooks. They just stay so sharp. I don't know if any of you guys have ever used them, but if you haven't, I would give them a try. Then let's talk about lures. Now you saw that big tackle box that I carried around with me up north, had a lot of lures in it. Tried them all, caught some fish on them, but it was a hassle every time. You got to keep changing lures. Let me try this one. Let me try that one. Well, let me show you what lures I use in Florida. The first lure that I want to show you is probably, I would imagine most of you guys know of. It's called the Senko. Okay, this lure here, the Senko, I use a 5-inch Texas Rigget. No weight, just let it fall on its own weight. Falls really, really well. Has a lot of weight to it so you can get a good cast with it also. Now, I find that the Senkos now are getting a little expensive. They're about $8 and change, I think it is right about now. Well, I was in Walmart the other day, came across a lure made by Strike King. Okay? It's called the Shimmy Stick. And I've got to tell you something. I have used this and I find it to be just as good as the Senko. It looks just like the Senko, does everything the Senko does, and I've caught a lot of fish with it. $2.69, I believe. So now my choice is going to this lure. Now the one thing about the Senkos, those are 5 inches. These are the 4-inch, which I like also. Same thing, just a 4-inch. I rig them on a 2/0 hook. Find that that's the best hook to use. Here's my opinion of the Senko, or the Shimmy Stick. You throw this into a lake or something, if you don't get a bite, well, get back into your vehicle and go home because there's no fish in the lake. That's how good the Senkos are. If there's any bass in that lake and you throw a Senko, I guarantee you're going to catch a fish on it. I Texas rig it, but you can also wacky style it. Wacky is good too, except if you're in a lake or a pond or something that has a lot of weeds, rocks, and things like that, you're going to get hooked up a lot because the hook is bare. It's not into the plastic. It goes through the plastic, but the point is not covered. So if you get into some weeds or something, you're going to get a lot of snags. If you Texas rig it, which I enjoy doing, you put the hook inside the plastic there, you don't get any hookups. And I find both are very effective, but like I say, I like Texas rigging the best. So those two lures are fantastic. Now, what else do I use? This is what I use for mid-depth or so. This is a Keitech swim bait. I don't know if you guys heard of it. I'm sure some of you have. But this is what a Keitech swim bait looks like. Okay. Now, this is called the Swing Impact, and it's a 4-inch. It's a 4-inch. And what I like about this, the tail on this swim bait, you don't have to pull it through the water very fast at all. Even as slow as you want, this tail will be just flipping like this and shimmying and shimmying. I've caught a lot of bass on this swim bait. This is probably the best swim bait I've ever used. I also Texas rig it. This one I'll use, with this size, I'll use a 1/0 hook on it. And what's nice too, it has these ridges. I don't know if you can see these little ridges here. Well, these trap air bubbles in the water. So when it sinks, these things get a lot of little air bubbles. So when you're pulling this thing through the water, these bubbles are coming out, which attracts the fish tremendously. And what I like to use with this is a little sinker. It's a 1/8, it's a 1/16. Eagle Claw makes it. You can use anything though, but a 1/16 on the line with this bait, it's murder. What I like to do is I swim it, I stop it, and when it falls, the way to fall, as it goes down, this little tail is just flying. I'll let it hit the bottom, bring it back up, give it a few cranks, and let it fall. And I tell you guys, bass kill this thing. My other lure now is for the top water. This is the one I use for top water. This is called a chug bug. It's one of my favorites. It's got concave mouth. It's got rattles. And with this lure, you can pop it. And another good thing about this thing is you can walk the dog with this, and it has great action. And the bass, again, just kill this lure. So basically, that is my tackle box. I don't take anything else with me when I go fishing down here in Florida, and I always catch fish. I use the Senko for the bottom, let it go to the bottom, bring it along the bottom, and they just pick it right up. A lot of times the bass, too, like to pick this thing up on the fall. So when you cast that thing out and it's falling down, you're going to get a lot of hits. Watch your line. I'm a line watcher. I watch my line. I see that line jump or start to move a little bit, I set that hook. This thing, again, is the mid-depth. It's a swim bait. So I'm going from the bottom, working my way up now to the top. Then, like in the early morning or in the evening, I put this little baby on, and this is my top water. And guys, these are the only lures that I bring along with me when I fish. I don't carry that big tackle box anymore. I don't have to keep changing lures 100 times. I'll fish this Senko all day, and I'll just be catching a lot of bass on them. The downfall to the Senko, unfortunately, is they get ripped up kind of fast. But it's well worth it for the bass that you catch. So that's my little video that I just wanted to pass along to you. Again, I know guys carry tackle boxes with hundreds and hundreds of lures in it. Most of the time, they don't even use those lures. This is what I bring along with me. These are the only lures I take, and I catch a lot of bass with them, guys. Now, Florida, I love Florida. And when we were coming down here, I couldn't wait to get down here because I knew how the fishing was going to be. The best part about it is that the water in Florida is always warm, which the largemouth bass love. So you can go out fishing 365 days a year here. You don't have to worry about the cold, the water being cold. Water's always basically warm. Cools a little bit when we get our so-called winters down here, if you want to so call it a winter, doesn't matter though. These bass will still bite no matter what. That's the only, one of the big downfalls of living in the north. I know, guys, you can't wait for the summer to get out there, that warm weather, those bass to start feeding. The only thing that I do miss a little bit is the smallmouth bass. Down here, the lakes, the water is really warm, and smallmouth like the cold water. So back home, I used to catch a lot of smallmouths, and to me, the smallmouth gives you a better fight than the largemouth. But, hey, look, can't have everything. But when you get up in the morning down in Florida, and you look at that sun and that sky, you can't wait to get out there and fish. So, that's my little video about fishing down here compared to the north and the lures that I use, guys. So, the only thing I can say to you, get out there, keep fishing, tight lines to everybody, and good luck. So this is Bassman61 saying goodbye, and I do appreciate if you would subscribe to my channel, and we'll catch you again on another video. Bye-bye.